Hey everyone, it's Mystery here, and I'm just showing off a Storm Sorcerer build, Sorceress build. This is using the ascendancy button here. Let's check it out. Path. This is using the Elementalist. What's this ascendancy called? Who knows? I think it's the Elementalist ascendancy. So far, I'm just starting into Act 1-2, I guess, or you know, the second iteration of Act 1. And so I've already completed the trials twice, grabbed Elemental Storm into Rain Dancer, and then my ultimate goal is to grab Strike twice, as well as Shaper of Storms. Or it actually, I don't know if Shaper of Storms is going to give me much value because all damage from hits contributing to shock chance. I'm only going to be using lightning skills as far as I can tell right now. So if I can just slot this out and go for this, and then maybe scouring winds, having that additional resistance lowering. Resistance lowering is huge in this game. Enemies have a lot of resistances, so getting those nice resistance strips early in the game is very, very important. Otherwise, let's check out the path. I'm still working on it a little bit here, but I think this is like a roughly a pretty good layout. And what I did is come up this way, and we're grabbing all these nodes for increased spell damage just to get us off to a good start. And then we go up vertically here and grab all these crit stats. One thing you could also do here is skip out on this node and come across this way and get pure energy and start to get some of these nodes a little sooner, I guess. But I think this is the best way to go because my next few points, now that I have a lot of these shield points, I'm going to come out here and I'm going to grab these lightning pen nodes. But coming down this way, grabbing shields. This was the last thing I have done. I speed ran for this here, and then I went out this way and got this set of nodes here, this set of nodes here, and then I came all the way out this way and got all these because this is going to give us a lot of crit chance. And I figure once I've gotten this lightning pen and maybe a little bit more defense, I'm going to come back in and fill in all these crit chance things just to show you what skills I'm working with. Is my main staff. Well, I've had this main staff since the very first like set area of Act 2, my first playthrough. So I've been playing with it for like 10 hours probably. It has a +3 to all lightning spell skills, which is just nuts. I mean, you can see like, okay, look how good this staff is, right? Increased spell damage, extra damage as lightning, increased critical chance, increased spell damage bonus, chance to shock. If I slot this in, watch the DPS on like arc here. It cuts it by like a lot, by like 40%. That 3 levels is absolutely huge. You know, rolling with level 15 gems is pretty nuts. You know, as you might imagine. So if you roll across any plus spell skills, you know, gems, that's generally the build you want to go. But I was rolling the lightning bolt as a pretty good single target DPS. This is if I'm like completely out of mana or I'm waiting for a boss phase where I've got to focus a lot on my movement because I'll just like hold down left click and spam in their general area and be just focusing on dodging and stuff in the meantime rather than having to click any other skills, and it's free. Elemental Storm is our ability that triggers off of critting enemies. That's part of our ascendancy, and I thought this was kind of trash when I first picked it up, but then I noticed that you can actually slot gems into it. So the gems I'm going with here are more skill effect duration, more area of effect, and increased cooldown recovery rate, because this cooldown recovery rate is actually multiplicative with the cooldown recovery rate that is in the tree right here, having that 150% more. So instead of 150% more plus 30% more, it actually multiplies this one, up to 2 point, whatever it is, 2.25 times, which is really, really nice. You have tons of storms out, and because they have this additional duration, they last for forever, and they're oftentimes overlapping in the same areas, and they have more area effects, so they're overlapping. Enemies are going to be standing these constantly, and this is really good for getting the last little bit of our damage dealt, because since we're shock, or since we're lightning damage, we don't have any real damage over time effects, and damage over time effects are really nice for getting rid of like the last little bit of enemy's health, and we have another way of doing that. Spark is a great way to just to get shocks on enemies because it just throws a million sparks out there, and I've given it both the 100% more chance to shock and shocking hits from supported skills can do it in 2.5 meter radius. Obviously, this isn't going to be a great way to do it on bosses because individual sparks have very low damage, and shocks happen proportional to the value of the lightning damage that actually hit the enemy. So this is mostly for like trash packs, just getting shocks proliferated across a ton of them, and that works really well with our mana remnant skill because the mana remnants can give us a bunch of mana back for getting a lot of shocks on multiple targets. It's also a really great skill to clean up trash in like ad phases on bosses. That's generally how I use it, and that makes sure you get a lot of mana back in those phases. Lightning Warp. Okay, so this is our execute skill. Actually, let's address Arc first. Arc is our main damage dealer, and it's our opening salvo, basically. When we walk up to an enemy pack, we're going to use Arc first because we have Ambush, which is going to give it 100% more critical chance against enemies on full life. You can see I'm over 26, almost 27% critical chance, so I have a more than 50-50 shot of hitting a crit on that hit on those full health enemies, and it's unleashing, so it's chaining 2 times. Oftentimes for like trash packs, this instantly obliterates them, but if it doesn't, it's going to hit them and it's going to give a crit, and that's going to start our lovely Elemental Storm rolling. And that's the real goal, is to get Elemental Storm on the field as soon as possible so that all the enemies that are now aggroed are walking through that to get to us. And then since this chunks them so hard and puts them so low, then the Elemental Storm is going to tick them down a little bit, and that's when we can use Lightning Warp, which is an execute skill. It highlights enemies with little blue flare that are vulnerable, and we can click it and we can teleport to them and fucking destroy them, just instantly cull them. And we have augmented this with just a couple of defensive things, regenerating life and regenerating enemy shield when we kill these enemies, because this is a risky sitch. You're going into the enemy lines rather than standing back, but it is nice because you can chain it super fast. You can keep blasting around, and it does a ton of damage. As far as Arc itself, we've got Ambush, Unleash, and Lightning Pen, just because we want that first hit to hit real nice and solid. And then if I have a rare or something, I'll throw Conductivity out there first. And I've got Conductivity with Heightened Curse for that extra 25% increase spell effect, because that makes them take like 41%. And I've got this extra area of effect because it's so hard, because there's a 1 second delay on getting the curse applying. It's hard to get them to stand still long enough to hit them with that like little tiny area. So increasing the area of the skill is really good, and 6 seconds cooldown on a curse skill is fine because the duration is 6.8 seconds. So we just need to be cursing whenever we can. Then we've got Mana Tempest. This is our like sicko mode, like when we want to go like Ultra Instinct and really blast. Like if I come up upon an area that has a ton of enemies, I'm laying down Mana Tempest first, and all this does is it's basically like it's basically going to consume a bunch of mana. It's going to drain our mana the more spells we cast in it, but it makes our spells, especially our Arc, chain extra targets, and it gives us 66% extra damage. Really nuts. And I've augmented it with Murderous Intent, which is going to cull enemies, which is amazing because a lot of those enemies are going to be white or magic enemies that get culled at I think the white enemies get culled at 30%, and magic enemies get culled at 20%. Just cleaning those up without having to do that last little bit of HP is really nice. And then I've cut the cost of this by 40% by socketing Inspiration in it. Definitely the best use of Inspiration Gem, because this will drain your mana very quickly without it. And then finally, my newest addition, which is Cast on Shock. You'll only get access to this later in, I think it's like Act 3 I got access to this, because you'll need to have enough spirit to run it. And it costs 60 spirit on its own. This basically stacks up energy based on how often you shocked. And remember, we have a good way of gaining a lot of shock charges by using Spark. And then this is going to cast Ball Lightning and what the? How did I mess this up? Okay, well, it's not going to cast 2 Ball Lightning. I think I was confused here. Okay, well, let's. Oh, this is never got Spirit Gem. Okay. I meant to have it cast Orb of Storms. Who knows how I got that in there? But anyway, that's the whole build, and let's just go show how it works. Yeah, you can see that yeah, those enemies, little white enemies like that, they don't really stand much of a chance. Oh, it doesn't cast two. That's nice. Yeah, actually, I might stick with that. I didn't realize it would actually cast double ball lightning. Nice. Yeah, the lightning warp is very, very satisfying, as you can tell. I like to use it even when I definitely don't have to. You know, just doing that execute is very fun. It's a nice way to end the battle. I keep picking these up because I'm hoping that one of them is level 3. I should be finding some level 3s at some point, or support gems. But I figure I'll just clear the rest of this area and you can see how the build runs, especially when I find one of these other rusted obelisks or whatever. Yeah, here it is. Right. So it should be in there. Yeah, there was a period of time where I was using left click to DPS because it had the highest DPS, but then because that's linked to my staff, and that staff is oh, and by the way, spamming this ability, spamming the lightning warp ability, it doesn't seem to like require any aim at all. Once you've started to jump onto enemies, it's just going to continue chaining if there's any enemies that are like within range. So you just got to kind of be careful about using it, spamming it, if you don't want to like get yourself in a risky situation. But yeah, I was saying for a while I was using my left click to DPS single target bosses, or single target in general, and that's because it was level 8 and all of other skills were level 8, but now that all my damage gems are like level 12, it's starting to really fall behind. I'm desperately hoping that there's some sort of way I can get you know, another staff like +3, or even I picked up a staff like +4 to all fire spell skill gems, and I was like, oh my god, if I could get that for lightning spell. I briefly considered respecting entirely and going into fire, and then I thought better of it because I literally spent my entire build doing this. Disassemble everything. But yeah, as far as this game goes, the first act is very, very slow, especially if you're playing melee. I tried to play melee and it was horrible. I think there are some classes right now that are just better than others, and this feels very, very solid. Yeah, I'm not really scared of enemies anymore. There was a period of time where I was having to like fight away from enemies because it wasn't quite to the, I wasn't quite at that power cap yet, where I could just obliterate the enemies before they even get to do anything. Alright, so here we'll see this. And this is a situation where I'm just going to go ahead and lay down my basically runic power, because I know what's coming. And let's go ahead and let him have it. Very cool. And we've got one more. And
that voice. It is bound to this
it's
place.
right here in the center. I don't know why I didn't do this one first. I remember this from last time, but it's right here. Yeah, I walked around the entire map last time when I did this, and I went around the whole outside edge, as you do. With this map Exile, everything from the outside edge, you would think. Maybe, who knows. As far as complaints about the game, I really wish there was more rare drops. I know they're trying to kind of keep it seldom, but I kill like every rare I come across. I'm not like speedrunning or jumping past anything. I still just don't feel like I'm seeing enough rares to get a good chance at anything decent. And we can go ahead and lay down a storm early, because the storm, as long as you stay in it, it lasts, and it doesn't drain any mana until you start casting skills. Now here we can start obliterating this guy. Yeah, if you can get him shocked, if you can get enemies shocked while they are vulnerable. Oh no, I did a dumb there and I completely trapped myself. Let's try that again. yeah, you really want to be careful about your positioning. I'm gonna stand over here and not do that.
No mana.
Sooner you, it's usually like when I get 3 of my little tornadoes up, that's when I want to get them down, so that start taking damage. Get out of my what's over here. Start blasting in. And you kind of press it. Very nice. Yeah, I think this build is super fun. I love that like the tornadoes or like the little
I'm carrying enough already.
the little storms do so much work for you, just cleaning up like nonsense that otherwise you would have to deal with. And yeah, I think it's really powerful. I'm not certain how it stacks up against some of the other classes currently, but I am definitely feeling better than I was when I was playing Titan. So anyway, that's it for me. Mr. E out.